Was listening to the Hoop Site podcast this week. If you guys haven't listened to it, I highly recommend it. It was a Detroit Pistons themed episode with Michael Scotto, so shout out to him. Yeah, James Edwards III of The Athletic, who we've had on this podcast multiple times, and they were talking about Detroit Pistons free agency. And the two players that they were talking about were Miles Bridges and Tobias Harris. Now, we've known for a while that the Pistons target list was like Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Tobias Harris, Miles Bridges, and obviously Pascal Siakam got traded for at the deadline. OG Anunoby again got traded for, so those are like two guys you can cross off the list because they're probably going to re-sign with their respective teams that did trade for them. And the two guys that we've kind of talked about, we've talked about Tobias Harris multiple times. We've talked about Miles Bridges multiple times. So here's my takeaway from it. Listening to Michael Scotto, who's a national reporter, and listening to James on that podcast, who's a Detroit Pistons senior beat reporter with The Athletic. I think if you look at it, Tobias Harris, we've talked about. We like Tobias Harris as a player. We just wouldn't like him on a max contract. We wouldn't like him on a $35 million contract. Wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for a team that wants to turn a corner and win, right? I don't think it would. Miles Bridges. I've been very consistent with Miles Bridges, and you guys know that. I've always tried to keep it basketball related. When I have a guest on, people like to bring up the off-the-court stuff, as they should. But I think as a basketball player, it makes sense. Here's my opinion on, hearing that the Pistons want to target Miles Bridges or Tobias Harris. I think if you want to upgrade the forward position, it makes sense. I'll start with Miles Bridges. I think if you're the Pistons and you feel that you can have an eye on Miles while he's here in Detroit, you could keep an eye on him, make sure he doesn't get in any more trouble off the court, then who am I to say that you can't go out and go sign him if you really want him? Because this has been an organization that has dealt with off the court issues currently. They still are with their former assistant GM, I should say. And, we really haven't, heard anything from it. It's been, kind of swept under the rug. If you feel that you can, contain him, control him, go for it. Go for it. Like I said, as a basketball player, it makes a lot of sense. Getting a guy that's athletic, that can score on all three levels, and he can defend a little bit. He's not like a negative defensively. I mean, go for it, I guess. Tobias Harris. Here's my stance with Tobias. I think if you're the Pistons and you look at Tobias Harris and you're watching the playoffs right now, there's no way in hell you should offer this guy 30, 35 million to come play for your basketball team. Just no way. You can't do it. If you want to win basketball games, it would just be a decision where you have to limit yourself of what you're going to offer him. You cannot offer him 30, 35 million to play for your basketball team and expect to win basketball games the way you want to win them. I doubt you want to win 20 games next year. You want to have a dramatic, improved season. 14 wins, awful. Year before, 17 wins, awful. If you're not at least winning anywhere from, 25 to 30 games next year, that's going to be a really tough pill to swallow to the fan base. And this is where it kind of correlates to Tobias. I think the number the Pistons should be comfortable with, if they really want to go after Tobias, is 20 to 25 million at the most. If it gets more than that, just walk away. Just walk away, because I don't really think paying a guy like him $30 million is going to get you more wins at the end of the day. I just don't. I personally don't. I think he's a good fit as a mentor. He's been here. He was here when the Pistons under Van Gundy, when they went to the playoffs against the Cavs, when they had 44 wins that season. But again, paying a guy at the later stage of his career all that money, like 30 million, I just don't think it would be a good fit personally. I think you should limit yourself between 20 and 25 million. Anything more than that, I think would be an overpay, and I think it would be a mistake. just in my opinion. I think if you do want to upgrade the forward position, there are other free agents out there that are a little bit lower tier that aren't going to cost you close to a max contract to sign Tobias. And I think some Pistons fans, they wouldn't be opposed to signing Tobias. It's just the money thing. They don't want to, they don't want the front office to offer him, the bag to come here. They don't want the front office, Troy Weaver and company, to offer him, $35 million. And I do agree with fans on that opinion. Getting back to the Miles thing, I just don't know. I don't know if they'll actually do it. You can say you have interest in it, but I mean, the Pistons said they had interest in Fred VanVleet and Jalen Brunson, and they never went after him. It could just be smoke at this point, really. I personally think Tobias would probably be more on their target list, but that's just me. But I know you guys have had really strong opinions about Tobias Harris and Miles Bridges. So have I. I just hope that they don't go into this free agency and just overpay people just to come here, because I think it would be a really big mistake. I really would.